Oh, welcome again to Sunday Science, everybody. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different from most. I've been spending the day sciencing, building a spectroscope in my basement, and it has been so much fun building this project that I kind of neglected coming up with an episode for today. So, in lieu of what we traditionally have been doing, I suppose let's go ahead and talk about sitting down and building home experiments, because, I mean, why would you not want to?
I have to agree with that.
There's just something really fun about building things that you can sit down and you can do tests, you can run experiments, and you don't have to sit down. I mean, sure, you might want to sit down and consult a book for how to do this, how to do that, how to get it set up. But sometimes just sitting down and making the experiment yourself is so rewarding. It is so much fun to go through the steps and the processes. And to give you a little run through of what I've been working on, it runs with last week's episode and what next week's episode as well is going to be. Spent the first decent amount of today turning a windowsill in my basement into an exhaust hood so that I could safely do chemistry in my basement. After that, I wound up moving my 150 millimeter reflector into my basement, and my dogs were absolutely ecstatic to finally get into the basement, mess with the cat and be jerks and what have you, but hey, that's what they do. So I built the exhaust hood, and that was so that I could burn things safely indoors without fumigating myself. Oh, then I moved my telescope downstairs, one of them at least, and I set up a nice little, well, I'm still in the midst of building it, but a homemade spectroscope, if you will. So, as it sits right now, and I'm actually really eager to get back to it. This is a really fun experiment to do, and anyone can sit down and do this one. It's nothing high tech. All you need is a prism. You can actually even use a CD and a cardboard box. I'm sure there's a bajillion, do-it-yourself on YouTube videos that will show you how to do it. I'm not going to show you how to do it with a CD. I'm not going to talk about doing it with the CD because I like going back to how was this discovered information. And for me, sitting down and using a telescope objective and a prism, sitting in my basement and tunneling light in from the sun with mirrors is just more awesome than sitting down with a cardboard box and a CD and yeah. So that's primarily what I've been doing today, and like I say, I'm really eager to get back to this project and continue building it, and I want to be able to share this next week with everyone. I'm a little distracted if you can't tell already, but playing with photons is a lot of fun. And like I say, with how easy it is to do, I absolutely suggest go out, go watch a couple of videos or read a couple of books on how to build a spectrometer. It is so much fun to just look at the absorption lines of different elements, different light sources. Am I looking at the moon? Am I looking at the sun? Am I looking at a candle burning in the corner? It is so so much fun to sit down and do this experiment and build this contraption. I think everyone should go out and do it. Sai, I think he sounded like he wanted to jump in there.
Oh, I was just thinking, did you make a reference earlier on? I think we were talking on Twitter. Do you have an image or something? I think you have an image of one of your spectroscopy captures, do you not?
Oh,
or were you just talking about getting one? I don't recall the conversation. I thought you said you had one.
I do. I'm going to have to step away for just a second and grab the camera. It's set on time lapse, but I can go grab that real quick and show you guys some of the fun stuff that you can do with this. Back in just a second.
Okay. Wow. I hope I didn't cause Andy to interrupt one of his ongoing experiments. That would be ungood. Factard, Star Trek always helps. That's, of course. I've been criticized by the crowd that objects to us sciencing for making too many Star Trek references. I know that's where your head is, and oh, it's all fiction. Yes, but that's where we dream. That's where we dream of what we're going to have. Fiction is a great place to map out the future, and a lot of it comes to pass. Star Trek reference, transporters. I have it on good authority that moved beyond originally transporting a single atom was achieved quite a few years ago. I am told we've moved on to complex molecules. Still, we're not going to be beaming people around like on Star Trek, but it's an idea that we first dreamt up in fiction and comes to fruition in science. Wow, I don't think I should have sent Andy off on a mission to we probably should have waited till next week to look at his imagery. Anyway, hopefully we didn't disrupt his entire operation. Photon torpedoes. There's one. In fact, there's one I've always kind of wondered about. Is exactly what a photon torpedo does. Explosion just produces a batch of photons. Is that anyway? Not entirely sure. Let's see. Tornado. Andy had a graphics glitch. Huh. Odd. I didn't know he was. Oh, maybe it was the Hangouts session wasn't showing his moving. When he was speaking. Oh my! Look at that. We lost Andy. Oh, now we're in trouble. Hopefully he'll be back presently. And let's see. Let me just make sure I didn't get any incoming message indicating. Nope. I guess all's still good. Hopefully he'll be back presently. Wondering if I should get into my experimentations. I should just wait a few for Andy to return. I don't want to take us too far off track. We're into spectroscopy. Tornado, yes, I saw that. That was you're really not fond of that fellow. Well, there's one for movie night. And oh, hey, look who's
all right.
Andy, it didn't mean to send it. I do hope that my little mentioning of your photography and all that did not interrupt an ongoing experiment, because I know you'd run off and cancel the experiment if somebody in the audience or I asked about it. But I hope we didn't interrupt something.
No. I somehow set my headphones down and I was disconnected and.
Oh,
sure. I do really want to get back to my experiment, but
I understand.
I'm not gonna I'm not just going to run away.
I meant you mentioned you had the camera doing time lapse or something of that sort. It sounds like we stepped in the middle of an experiment which you ceased for our benefit and are going to recommence after. Is that the case?
I actually have 3 cameras, two Canons, and a retired Samsung phone, all taking video at the same time because, multiple angles are necessary. And when it comes to building a spectroscope, the results you're looking for aren't actually easily seen.
These aren't the results you're looking for. Okay.
Basically, the droids I'm looking for ran away a long time ago, and I'm trying to find their fingerprints.
I see. All right. Well, did you successfully round up that which you wish to display?
I got one. I just need to set it for file. Like I say, it's a dead phone, so getting into the DSIM card, it's not always as polite as it should be, being a dead phone.
Understandable.
But if
access as USB storage, no. Access as USB storage, no. Yeah, been there.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, I'm glad we waited. I was thinking if it was going to take you a while to get stuff available, I was going to go into my entertainment over here. I'm glad we did not, because it would have taken us way the hell off track. So anyway,
it happens when you build science experiments for fun, because it really is that much fun. Every now and then you get a little sidetracked.
Agreed. And I've always said the coolest part, even though you know ahead of time you're doing all the right things and you're building things exactly as they should be built, none of that matters. When you flip the switch or point your scope or whatever, when it actually does what you predicted it would do before you started, it's still an exciting moment. Even though you knew it would, and you knew you didn't botch anything, it's still kind of, no other way to say it. It's still an exciting moment when, hey, it's working. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
But
all right.
there's a photon discussion going on in the public chat.
Oh, I can't see any of the public chat.
I'll send you the pop-out window so you can keep an eye on it. There's no reason for me to screen share because we're not doing videos like usual. So get a link so you can, just in case you want to. If there's any stuff directly. Here we
go. Oh yeah, I'm always curious as to taking a look at the public chat. I have absolutely no idea why I can never find this link unless you send it to me. It's
well, how you do it is you just go to this channel, youtube.com/c/SciStrike, and then just put a /live at the end. When there's a broadcast going on, it'll show the whole live window, and the chat that'll be the active chat, and you can do a pop out of that. But I don't mind sending it. It's not a problem. So, but that would be how you do it if you were gonna do it.
I've tried it multiple times. I still don't find it. But anywho, let's see. So, a couple of quick stills. Nope, those are hydrangeas. Nobody wants to see that. Well, I mean, maybe some people do want to see pictures of hydrangeas, but that's why you garden, because hydrangeas are actually a pretty cool plant. What we're talking about has nothing to do with plants, though. So,
indeed. Although, oh, you know what? Maybe we should mention that there was a reason that as I recall, the reason you chose to do chemistry and stuff of that sort in previous episodes was actually quite closely related to spectroscopy. Blah, blah.
Indeed, spectroscopy is a very, very fun leg of science, and well, to be as simple as I can, I guess, spectroscopy is the fingerprint of all elemental science. It shows, I guess, in a very weird way of saying it, what touched you. It's awesome.
This
photon
discussion is taken off. Are you reading this? The photon discussion is taken off.
I am not reading. No, I am trying to find the picture that I was looking for.
Absolutely, go ahead. It's about how painful a photon of a specific wavelength would be. We always have a good crowd.
It is fun having a crowd of people that are completely understanding of what it means to be a science lover and enthusiast, and let's just have a good time and make some experiments. That's always fun.
Absolutely.
Alright, so the one I was trying to get to, there was one that I sent you earlier, and I was really close but not quite there, and there's another one that, oddly enough, it actually shows defects in the drywall behind, but I'll go ahead and share it anyways, because why not? Okay, now all I see is a black screen.
Yep, I gotta present you. Hold on.
Ah.
There you go. You should be. Pinned. You should be sharing. Says Andy. It says you're presenting. Is this?
Oh, this is probably because of the whole I use one screen as two screens.
Aha. Okay.
As much as I love ATI Fire Pro graphics, every now and then it does not want to work with Google. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Anybody seeing what I'm presenting, or is it just black?
We're just getting the black screen with the you're presenting to everyone.
Oh, that's annoying.
Did you try? Tornado's right. Did you try, instead of share screen, try share window? Open the picture and present that. You know, like in the if it's in Windows Photo Viewer, whatever the hell it is, select that window instead of doing a whole screen. See if that works. Now, sometimes Hangouts cannot capture certain apps, so. Okay, now we're seeing
the comments, hopefully?
Yes, you shared that screen. There's everybody commenting, and again, very nice. You have successfully shared a window.
Alright. So, yes, my wall is purple.
Let's see. We got black screen at the moment, Chief.
Okay, seriously? It's still black? You just saw everything.
Well, we saw one. You captured. Was that a screen grab, or were you capturing a window?
I thought I was capturing a window, and you guys saw the comments, but somehow didn't see the image that I don't. I'm gonna have to write an email to ATI and let them know that Google Hangouts does not like the way that they crossfire graphics cards.
You'd think folks would pay attention to that, since Google's a big player, you
would think so, but everybody overlooks something at some point.
Hey, well, let's
actually, see if I go entire screen.
if it doesn't work out, you can. Oh, let's see what we got. See what's coming up. Oh, stuff. Hey, stuff. And
Oh, you guys can see stuff.
Yes, and we are getting we're getting both screens as the one screen source, but we're getting the idea.
Well,
tell us what.
Apparently, that's the way that I need to share. So
that'll work. Tell us what we're looking at.
So what you're looking at here right now is the. Well, this is me calibrating a homemade spectroscope. I do actually have a movie screen that I just got done install. Well, not really a movie screen, but a pull-down projector screen. So basically, what you're looking at right now is the spectra of a mag light. So I have a mag light shining into a 150 millimeter reflector telescope. It's going through a 4x Barlow, bouncing off of a single mirror into a prism so that I could try and get the right angle. And you can see this seam in the drywall and the top bar. I'm getting pretty close to level. So mostly what I've been doing today is I'm trying to calibrate this thing. And through that process, I've working with a mag light, working with bouncing sunlight in, and I also, as I said earlier, I turned a windowsill where I'm gathering all of this light into an exhaust hood so that I can burn chemicals in the basement and take a look at what their absorption lines are. So this is just a quick visualization of what it is that I've been doing and why I don't have really anything else to share. Because sometimes you have to sit down and you have to do experiments. And you have to actually make the stuff. And I really like sitting down and making that stuff. So I'm getting close, and tomorrow's show should be, or not tomorrow, next week's show should be an absolute blast because I will have this contraption figured out. It's a little bit goofy to set up. Aside from building a spectroscope on one side of my basement, I still have a Cavendish mechanism running on the other, and I'm trying to use mirrors that don't freak my neighbors out to bounce light from outside through my windows. I probably look like a little bit of a weirdo, but science is worth it.
Agreed.
So
yeah, I try to keep most of the experimentation hidden, just so that for just that reason, so that no one makes accusations of the Addams family living in
right
the Jersey Shore.
You're not going to drive by my house and suddenly have the soundtrack from the Burbs playing. That's
okay.
I'm not that weird, but yeah, I do really like making science experiments, and I like testing them, I like building them, I like putting them together, and I like watching the results. And spectroscopy is so much fun to sit down and perform, and it doesn't take much at all whatsoever. I mean, you need a light source. What is it that you're viewing? You need a prism. How else are you going to break light into its various wavelengths? And you need something to project it on, because obviously a purple wall, you can see the drywall imperfections amazingly, and that's awesome, but you're going to want a screen of some kind. I don't care if maybe it's a pizza box. It really doesn't matter. Just project it onto something that has a little less texture than this wall, and you get to run these experiments and you get to do them at home. And in the long run, you probably already have everything around the house available, and you can just sit down and do it. You don't even need to buy anything. And you can put different light sources in front of stuff. And if you're getting real curious into spectroscopy, you can head down the path that I'm working on as well with this basement-sized spectrograph, if you will. And I'm also building one out of an old pair of binoculars that fits into what used to be a 4x Barlow lens for my telescope. So I'll be able to just plug and play one of my cameras into this Barlow lens and immediately do a spectral analysis of whatever astronomical or celestial body I'm imaging right then and there. And sure, technically, yes, it is difficult and it is hard to build. But it is worth every second of learning how to do so. It is so much fun to sit down and build these things, and I mean, I'm still so eager to get back to the one that I'm working on right now, because this little bit of rainbow is really cool looking and awesome and whatnot, but I know that there are spectral lines hidden in this that without the screen in place, I can't see. Without a little bit more magnification, I can't see yet. This is a nice little image of Maglight's spectrum, but there's still an incandescent bulb that I know how it works. And I want to see those absorption lines.
Yeah, good test before going into the field is incandescent bulb, fluorescent light source, LED light source, and just being able to demonstrate the different spectra emitted by those.
Oh, absolutely. There was this one I had sent to you earlier. I'm pretty sure I'm still screen sharing.
That you are.
Yeah. Put a laser inside of a telescope. You can see the grain of the metal, and this was part of my collimating, just figuring out how far from this particular optic I needed this other optic. But even just the general fun of sitting down and going, I'm gonna put that there. Light is so much fun to play with. Mirrors are so much fun to play with. I really want to get back to this experiment. I'm ants in the pants mad right now, wanting to get back to this little.
Okay, here's the question.
Experiment.
I know you're having a blast with the experiment, and I know it's obviously going well, and it's very exciting to do that. My question to you, Andy, is: do we need to periodically send you messages to remind you to eat and sleep?
I do have some difficulties when it comes to remembering to eat and sleep.
Of course. While the project's going on, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yep. Sometimes when you just want to bounce photons off of things and, well, I mean, for the love of God, I'm literally saying bounce photons off of things instead of put a mirror in front of light.
Do you think our geekiness shows? I don't know. Maybe we should make it more obvious.
Well, I figure you reach absolute geekhood when Uhura shows up at your door and says, "Stop being a nerd. You're scaring away everybody."
Indeed. That's yeah. That's oh yeah. It says very good. Good. You mentioned Nichelle Nichols there. She's one of the few left from the original series. running low on original series characters.
Indeed,
Alrighty.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop screen sharing here real
Alrighty.
quick, and yeah, I'm really eager to get back to this experiment. I'm sorry I didn't come up with more of a show, everyone. It's been a whole lot of fun sitting down and building this contraption, and if anybody else out there is interested in building one next week, I'm going to have a full instructional. Hopefully I can help teach everyone how to build something like this, because it is so much fun to play with this instrument, and it's been so much fun to build. And yes, I am a super nerd. I'm not trying to hide it.
Why would one hide such a thing? You can't get research grants if you hide that sort of thing.
Indeed.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, that's about all I have. So, Sai, if you have anything that you would like to share, go for it.
Oh, all right. Well, thanks. I don't have a whole lot. The only update I have is if you remember a while back, I started construction on Van de Graaff generator using just stuff found around the house, and that turned out pretty good.
I do have a question on the Van de Graaff generator. I noticed some of the pictures you shared earlier on the Backyard Science page.
Wait, you mean why is there so much crap laying around on the ground in my basement? Is that your question?
Okay, half of my floor is covered in baking soda.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt that. What's your question?
My question is making the brush mechanism that you shared a picture of. There was the pins through a sheet of, was that construction paper or cardboard?
Neither. That was you'd be surprised what uses those aluminum foil baking pans have in science. There's a lot of, so you can make capacitors. You can do all kinds of magic with those. What that is was the upper ridge of those. You know how it's kind of rolled around into a little loop to give you a rim.
Yeah.
I was the original incarnation, which was meant to be just the here. Let me if I can show the original incarnation of this fellow.
Yeah, I was really interested in the brush mechanism. It seems kind of like the heart of the Van de Graaff.
Yeah, it is quite, and it's extremely important. This first incarnation, just because I wanted to make it extremely simple to build. The sphere was a large light bulb wrapped in tinfoil, aluminum foil rather, and in this one, because I didn't want to take 6 months to make, both brushes were actually just stranded wire splayed out, which is not perfect, but it worked.
If it works, it works. I mean,
yeah. Later on,
I hot glued a prism onto a equatorial mount so that I could at least have some sort of measurement for where the prism is.
Hot glue is magic when you get in a real hurry to, let's see if this is going to work.
Right.
And this this first one didn't do too bad. Let's get back here. Just with that, and the belt was a big rubber band of the kind that you construction folks use to hold garbage bags into those big garbage bins. They're about three quarters of an inch wide and 36 inches around. And Home Depot, and looked at that, and first thing that popped into my head as evidence of my nerddom is that would make an excellent Van de Graaff generator belt. Anyway, here's that little fellow. Oh, why isn't it showing? OBS.
I'm still just seeing the pug.
Yeah, OBS is not capturing. Well, that's hold on. Odd. Oh, there it is. All right, yeah, this is it. This is the first incarnation happening. It's about a 2 centimeter spark which did here. I will do a little screen sharing, Andy, so you can see what's going on here. Presenting. It wasn't because we didn't need it. I wasn't showing any videos then. I start showing videos. That's great. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
Let me know if you can see the screen.
Oh.
Got it?
Now there's full-blown Science Sunday. Yes, I absolutely can.
There you go. And just so you can see the dramatic effect from the first incarnation, I will run that again. It's very short.
Well, it is.
There you go.
I mean,
there you go. That's the first one with the aluminum foil around the light bulb and the splayed out wires. It was coming up with about a 2 centimeter spark there. I was grounded at the time. Reason for that is I had read somewhere that a good way to guesstimate the voltage you're accumulating is to assume, and you are assuming because it's not accurate, depending on humidity and all sorts of different things come into play there. You can assume 30,000 volts per centimeter of live spark. Not the ionization, when you start getting it feels a little tingly. But I had read that you can estimate about 30,000 volts, near zero current, but about 30,000 volts per centimeter. So this one it worked.
Well, yeah, I would hope you'd be dealing with minimal amperage.
Yeah. That's
30,000 volts and 1 amp.
See, it would be painful, but remember the benefit of
it would be horribly painful. That would hurt like a son of a bitch.
Remember the
like
benefit.
A son of a individual that just got shocked by 30,000 volts.
There you go. But the advantage of the higher voltages is the whole skin effect thing. If you grab a 120 power line and you're grounded, you are a dead individual. If it happens to cross the chest or something of that sort.
Right.
If you grab a 100,000 volt line, now if it's at low current like this, the skin effect keeps you entirely safe. The electrons don't like each other. They're a very antisocial group. They
are a very antisocial group.
They don't like hanging out together. They stay at higher voltages. They stay as far away from each other as possible. So
this goes right back to the chemistry episode with why there is electron shells and different orbitals, and only so many electrons can hang out with each other.
Indeed. So anyway, that was Van de Graaff generator in its first incarnation. Of course, you know that once I saw it actually work, I kind of ran off in high spirits and went back to Home Depot and bought all of this crap.
Hey, I'm really excited to see I'm real excited for the new one.
And then say, don't have a belt. And those things are too thin. If I want more charge flying up the belt, I'm going to need a wider belt. So I figured, I know what I'll do. I'll glue 2 of those fellas together with RTV.
Might as well.
Yeah, except it didn't work. There was.
Oh, that's a bummer.
The flex. I'm sure if I could find the proper adhesive to do it, but with regular RTV, the joint between them was too weak, and they split. So fortunately, I did come across an ultra wide rubber band somewhere. It's about 2 inches wide, and that was perfect. Anyway,
nice.
Yeah, this is all, and it's almost 100% off the shelf Home Depot type stuff. The rollers at the top and the bottom were bed casters. Drilled out the axle. And the
nice.
And bed casters are perfect for a flat belt because, as you know, a flat belt likes to ride high. If you have a pulley with a hump in it, it doesn't matter if your alignment is perfect or not. The belt will ride at the highest point center itself from the highest point on the pulley. So
okay, so I have to ask, during the build portion of all of this, the little generator that has all the push pins through the aluminum foil, where is it located in proximity to everything else that's taking place?
oh, all right. You know what?
I know exactly where it should lie, but
Let me get back to the first picture. Hopefully, does the mouse show?
I feel like we skipped a step.
Oh, well, yeah. I just showed the original one and then went into and this was just the fitment of the rollers. This is not final construction or anything of that sort. With the again fitment of belt and rollers is here we have that, and you'll note this one. The bottom roller is sprayed with contact cement and then wrapped in aluminum foil because it has to be the two rollers. There's a whole scale of different materials, and one imparts a positive charge on the belt, and one will impart more of a negative as the belt separates from it. And the farther away you have them on this, what's it, the triboelectric scale, I believe it's called, the farther away these two pulley materials are from each other, the more quickly you'll accumulate a charge. So now, to answer your question, the brush that you're talking about that I made from pushing all the pins through the aluminum, one is at the bottom, which is this metal pulley you're seeing now is at the bottom. One is nearly touching the belt, very close to the belt at the bottom, and that one is grounded. It's directly to ground, because that's the beautiful thing about an earth ground is it's a counterpoise to anything. A highly positive charge will work with earth ground as a counterpoise. A highly negative charge will also work with earth ground as a counterpoise. So ground works for everything with charges.
Indeed.
Anyway, one of the brushes is very close. Is held very close, just off the surface of the belt at the bottom, and the other one is very close to the surface of the belt at the top, in contact with this, and that brush has a wire connecting it to the sphere at the top, which serves as the collection, or the output. It really just acts as a huge low value, high voltage capacitor. But anyway, that would be right off of the image you're seeing now is where the bottom brush would lie, and the top one at the other end. Now,
awesome.
The one non-off-the-shelf part that I was a little concerned about, because making a larger Van de Graaff generator, I didn't want to just go hunting for a huge light bulb. I mean, if I've gone this far, you might as well make it a little bit respectable. The top sphere was a bit of an issue. I looked all over the internet for a large aluminum sphere, large being in the order of 10 to 12 inches in diameter. And they're readily available for $300.
Yeah, that's pretty pricey.
Yeah, I decided, okay, there's a good way to scare everybody off of doing home experimentation. Anyway, while out driving in Bob the Wonder Jeep, I forget where I was going, I passed somebody's yard that had one of those, what do they call them? Gazing spheres, gazing orbs. The round things.
The long ornament.
Yeah, those things. And
and
I saw one that was just bright silver, as if it were chromed, and I remember thinking on the way, wonder what the hell that's made of. So off to Amazon, and lo and behold, they're stainless steel. And now aluminum's better because it's lighter, nice, conductivity, blah blah blah. Who the hell cares? It's a capacitor. It does not need to conduct current.
Indeed.
So I ordered up one of those, and instead of the 300 and whatever for a large aluminum sphere, it was $24.
Nice.
And that is the top collection.
Can't go wrong there.
And let me see if I have a picture of. Yeah, here was, once again, here was original Van de Graaff, and then here is son of Van de Graaff, which is
Nice.
somewhat larger. it's a
Yeah.
little bit larger, and it works. So you notice the big box down at the bottom. That is because at the moment it's acting as what is termed a passive Van de Graaff generator. It only gets its charge from that effect I mentioned earlier with the two pulleys being of different materials and all that.
Nice.
The purpose of the large case is that it is my intention to convert it from a passive charging mechanism to what's called an externally excited, even though it's going to be in the box, technically it's internal. It's called an externally excited Van de Graaff generator. I happen to have an old automotive spark coil, which those put out, what, 12, 10, 11, 12,000?
Enough to burn the crap out of you.
Well, anyway, that should make a nice field. And that is going to go in between, on the bottom comb that we mentioned, that's going to go in between the negative side of the spark coil will go to ground, of course, and the positive side will go to that bottom comb, imparting a somewhat higher positive charge on the outside of the belt as it goes racing up to the sphere to deposit its charge.
Gee, so, I can't imagine why I'm having reminiscent memories of playing the capacitor game.
Yeah. Capacitors are fun. Hey Ed, what? Catch! Nah, unsafe. We should not be promoting that kind of amusement. Anyway,
hey, if you survived it and I survived it, I am not going to suggest anyone does it.
No, don't try this at home. And old furnace power supplies, a little advice when you're fussing with it, making nifty things like Jacob's ladder and all that sort of thing, and just making sparks jump from a screwdriver to ground, and wow, that's cool looking. A little advice: don't decide you want to turn off the room lights and reach for the light switch. No, don't do that.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, the existing son of Van de Graaff generator is at the moment still running in passive mode. No spark coil has been added to the inside of that suitcase at the bottom yet. So just running with the effect that we mentioned earlier, the charge imparted purely by the materials of the two rollers on the belt. The arc is now just about 12 centimeters. So
nice.
We're up in the 380,000 or something like that, and again, near zero current, but it makes a nice, impressive looking spark. Once I put the coil in, there will be no more let's see if the spark can reach my finger. That game will be over.
Yeah, right.
I will not be playing that game anymore because I like having 5 digits on each hand. It's just nice.
I hate jumping out there and potentially wrecking up the show, but I think I may have just figured out a way of using a wide-angle lens from my camera to help show where absorption lines exist, and I need to do this. I need to test this.
Andy, look at the time. We're coming up on an hour anyway. I understand when.
Wow, I didn't even realize. I felt like a couple of minutes.
Yeah, the time has gone by. This is why if you ever meet either of us in public, never walk up and say, "Hey, what are you up to?" unless you have a lot of time.
Yeah, right.
Andy, yeah, that was Andy getting a little excited when a new idea popped into the head. If you want to see him get really whipped up, watch this. Wide angle lens, you say, Andy? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So
yes. That's a fisheye, right? Okay, I didn't
Please
mean
don't
it.
do that.
I didn't mean it. That was purely.
No, it is not a fisheye. There is a wild difference between the two.
I know.
And, well, who knows? Maybe I can use this fun little experiment of a homemade spectroscope. I'm not going to say it's a spectroscopy instrument because it's not. It is a telescope I'm using to break spectra lines and have fun. It is a spectroscope, not a spectroscopy instrument, but it is a hell of a lot of fun. And if I place a wide angle lens just in the right place, I think I might be able to get a lot better image quality, and I need to try this. So yeah,
you want to wrap it up? You're saying so you can get back. You want to get back to the science, is what you're saying. If I hear
do. I'm yeah. Don't want to talk about science anymore. It's time to go and do science.
All right. Well, don't look to me for any criticism. I understand completely. Since I'm going to be. Oh, that's the other thing about the Van de Graaff. It's still running on the slow motor, so it takes about.
That's right. You gotta.
Yeah, it takes about 15 seconds to charge the sphere to its max. So I'm going to be. Hopefully, I can make it back to Harbor Freight or Home Depot and get a faux Dremel again to be the Fremel, I guess, to to be the bottom motor, and that'll give me enough speed. It'll charge a little faster. So
Nice.
Let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to add?
Very awesome. I know normally I wrap up Sunday Science with something a little bit more eloquently put, but go do science. It's fun, and I want to go do science now, so I'm going to go have fun.
You do that very thing, and there will be, and this Van de Graaff by no means will be the finished product operating will be shown on Simple Science and Simple Science for Kids, doing various experiments with the charged device. I am not going to be instructing children how to build this device for obvious reasons.
Yep.
There will be no step-by-step. They'll be covering the major construction phases because I'm sure many of the folks that are watching now will look at those and go, oh, okay. And they'll be able to interpolate that which happens in between if they want to build one. Or they can contact me directly. But I don't want some kid shocking himself. All right.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I wouldn't either.
Kids are cool. No reason to shock them. All right.
Right.
Anything else you want to cover, or shall we wrap it up?
That's pretty much all I have. Like I say, I'm ridiculously eager to get back to this experiment.
All right.
So,
yeah, you're dancing in your chair.
Sorry, I didn't have more of a show for Sunday Science, but next week's episode is, well, it's going to have my ADD for science all over it.
Okay. All right. And thanks for letting me babble on about my just son of Van de Graaff.
The Van de Graaff generator is awesome. I still want to know more about how it is and why it is that the brushes work the way they work.
Not a problem. We'll save that for another show, or any other questions you have. You know how to contact me. But
right.
Let us wrap it up before Andy's head explodes, so we can go do some science and just try to remember science is for everybody. So
it is for everybody, and you don't need to have a laboratory to do what I'm doing. I just have a basement and I have a towel hanging over a window so that there's less natural light than there should be. Now I can do science.
Alrighty.
And so can everyone else. It's at your fingertips, people.
Agree.
Embrace it. Grab it. Do it. It's awesome. Science is freaking cool.
Absolutely. All right. Well, good night, everybody. thanks for joining us once again. And Andy, I'm not accepting your apology for not having a show handy, because you did.
Well,
You gave us a lot of good information, as usual. So, no apology
well, I hope
needed.
everyone enjoyed, and I'm glad I could do my part.
And everybody in the chat, you guys know I'm dragging this out conversationally just to torture Andy, right? I mean, he wants to go do the experimenting right now. All right, Andy, you are going to keep us updated, I know, on things, and I guess we'll get together next week.
Filming, like I say, I'm filming it from multiple points, and there's 3 cameras still on this particular experiment as we speak.
Nice.
I just need to go and put some strontium and potassium and magnesium and iron and other such things on a nice big bundle of magnesium rope so that it can burn in sequence. And yeah, that's why I needed to make a dust hood out of a windowsill.
Okay, so keep 911 on speed dial. Got it. Okay, Andy, no problem. All right.
Yep. Yeah, don't do what I do. I don't advise that you do what I do in your basement. I live alone. Every now and then my roommate does come downstairs and get blinded by a laser, and she's giggling about it as we speak, but
well, isn't that why we're doing this stuff, so that everyone does not really have to, if they don't want, they can still learn from.
Well, yeah, you can sit down and you can watch a show where some fun stuff takes place and you can learn. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting real eager to get back to this build. It's so much fun.
All right, I'll stop torturing.
I'm getting distracted.
I'll stop torturing you. Go do some science, young fella. We'll
do.
We'll talk soon. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and thanks, Andy, for bringing us more interesting information in science, as always.
I hope you guys enjoyed Science Sunday, and my apologies for being as distracted as I am. Spectroscopy is just a very, very fun thing, and I hope everyone takes the time to sit down and do a little homemade experiment where you get to learn about it and have fun with it, because science is awesome.
Agreed. Oh, look at that. Rhetoric and Discourse is doing something after this. Cool. I'll go see that too. All right. If there's nothing else, I guess we'll just say goodnight.
Sounds about that time.
Night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. There we go.
Have a good night.